So today is International Stuttering Awareness Day. Apparently, just found that out this year that that's a thing. So I wanted to make this video because I think it's really important to have this conversation. I kind of wrote what I want to say. And I think it's really important to have this conversation with whoever you are watching this. I'm Jaymie. I'm 22 years old. I have a stutter, and I've had it since I was about 5 years old. So growing up, basically all I knew about my stutter was that I had to get rid of it. I went to speech therapy from before I started my stutter. I actually started going to speech therapy because I couldn't pronounce the R sound. So I'd say like wabbit or wed. And I developed a stutter when I was like 5 or 6. And that stayed. Thankfully, I can say my R's now, but the stutter stuck clearly. And I went to speech therapy from before I was 5 until I was 18 years old. My senior year of high school was when I stopped. So the problem with that was there weren't a lot of techniques. You know, it would be like slow down or find different words, which really isn't a technique. It's more of an avoidance strategy, which I don't think is helpful for the most part. I mean, it's helpful in the short term, but not to get rid of it or anything like that, or to deal with it, really. And they had me practice sounds all the time. So that was hard because the more I got used to my speech pathologist or counselor, whoever they were, the less I stuttered. Just because I was more comfortable with them. The more comfortable I am in the environment, the person I'm talking to, the less I stutter. And so they would always think that they were really doing well and that they were helping me. And it was frustrating for me because they weren't. And I didn't want to tell them that because, you know, they're like, oh, you're doing better. And I'm like, yeah, totally. No, I'm not. I'm just more comfortable around you. I finally told my last one that, and she was like, oh, well, you're probably doing better. So that's really frustrating because I feel like the only thing more frustrating than not being able to get cured is when your doctor thinks they're helping and they're not. It's just this endless cycle every time I saw someone new this would happen. So I finally was like, I'm done. I'm not going to speech therapy. It's not helping me. It's not getting anything done. I don't want to go anymore. And so once I finished high school, I stopped. I haven't been since. I got lucky growing up as far as classmates. I went to a private K-8 school, so I was stuck with almost the same people year after year. So they knew I had a stutter. My mom always told the teachers before the semester started. She did in high school too. I went to a public high school, and by the time you reach high school, most kids just don't make fun of stuff like that. You know, they know better by high school. So it wasn't really a problem. I got picked on a couple times, but it was always dealt with really fast. Like right away, you don't pick on Jaymie. So that was nice. A lot. I didn't have that problem. I was super, super extroverted as a child. I always was going out and trying to meet new people everywhere we went. But I had a really hard time making friends at school. And I still have a pretty hard time, I think. Once I make a friend, I can do fine. But the initial meeting new people is very difficult for me because I get really worried about my stutter and what they're going to think of me. For me, one thing that always worked was to slow down. That was the number one thing everyone told me, slow down. I talk crazy fast, but I didn't want to. You know, it didn't work every time. I'd give presentations. I'm going to stutter every other word. No matter how slow I talk, it doesn't matter. But it would work sometimes, and so I was always told to, but I didn't want to slow down. You know, I want to be able to talk like everybody else. I don't want to have to slow down. It just was frustrating. My brain is working so fast, and I'm already talking slower than I think. I don't want to slow down even more. I'm going to go crazy. I just think the same thing over and over and over again. So what I want to do is I want to be like everyone else. And that included gear my stutter. I wanted to be like everyone else. I wanted to fit in. I didn't want to stand out in this negative way. I didn't want people to think I was dumb. I always felt so stupid. But I've had it for 17 years now, and I think that's kind of funny because, you know, it's almost an adult, 18, and that's how long I've had it. And now I'm starting to realize, I'm starting to mature in that I'm going to have it. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. And right now it's okay. But it's not. Usually I'm in a comfortable environment right now. So I'm learning that gonna be a part of, as much a part of me as my left hand, and I need to start accepting it and realizing that it's a good thing. It makes me different. It's not a bad thing. You know, people are old enough now to where people don't think that I'm dumb or anything because I have it. They don't think less of me. But it was always frustrating because when I would say stuff like that, people would say, "Oh, it's cute. I think it's so cute." And I don't want to be cute. You know, like I want to be taken seriously. If you have a cute stutter, you're not going to get taken seriously. That was how I always felt. That's why I didn't want to get in. I wanted to be a lawyer for a while. I wouldn't do it. When I started high school, I wanted to take speech and debate. I didn't do it. I wanted to take drama, and I didn't do it because of my stutter, because I didn't want to put myself in those positions. And now I'm frustrated because I love talking in front of crowds. Like, I enjoy it, but I'm so nervous to do it because when I have no experience, I always avoided presentations in high school. I was allowed to skip them because of my stutter and just do one-on-one with the teacher. And so I just don't really have any experience. And then I have a stutter, and it's scary. And I'm fine talking in front of people. I would love doing it. But because I have a stutter, I just think about it too much. And the comments like, "Wow, you're so brave." And that was always frustrating because, no, I'm not. You know, I'm so scared. And it's not like, "Oh, I'm overcoming this fear." I love talking. I love talking. So that was always really frustrating. Now, I have these, like, question type things. So, like, what can you do? Like, why are we... I'm just been talking this whole time. Like, but there's a person watching this. Like, first of all, if you have a stutter, you're not alone. There's really amazing resources out there. I've looked up. There's, like, camps for kids in New York, which is sweet. It's, like, a cool place. I've never been there. Well, when I was 2, but I really want to go. And there's conferences held once a year at the National Stuttering Association, and it's just so great. There's so much out there, and I didn't know any of that. I avoided people, I'm going to be totally honest, I avoided people with stutters growing up because I hated it so much about myself. And to see somebody else with it, it's just so frustrating at first. And it wasn't until last year, and I went to Biola, which is my rival school, so that's fun, and watched this guy's documentary, Morgan Lott. It's called This Is Stuttering. He actually showed it at one of the convention this year. That I was like, this guy's cool. Like, he's a really cool guy. Like, I like him as a person, I think. And he's a stutter, and it's a lot like mine. And it was just really... It made me realize, you know, that I could like myself, too. If I could like somebody else with a stutter, I could like myself, and I think a big part of that acceptance comes when you meet other stutterers and realize that, like, they're cool people, and you're a cool person, too. So, if you don't have one, what if you know someone, if you meet someone with a stutter, you're working at Starbucks and somebody comes up and they're stuttering on their name, you know, what do? Treat them like you anyone else. That's what everyone says about any kind of disability. Treat them like everyone else, but it's true. I don't like getting cut off. Like, if I'm asking you a question and I get stuck on a sound and someone just answers it, that's really frustrating for me. I personally don't get frustrated when somebody finishes my sentence, but if you know any stutterers, you're almost always told, don't do that. Most people hate that. I personally don't care, but I don't like getting cut off, so it's very frustrating because I can't stop making the sound. It's gonna come out anyway. It's just gonna be, you answered the question, and now I look ridiculous sitting there trying to finish the sound while you stand there and stare at me, and it's just really uncomfortable. For me, it was really cool to meet Jesse McCartney this last, like, a month ago. If you don't know who he is, which apparently people don't, he was really popular when I was, like, a younger teenager. Sings song Beautiful Soul. It's great. I love it. I was, like, in love with him. So I got to meet him at one of his concerts. I paid, whatever. And I obviously stuttered when I said my name when I met him. And he just, like, maintained eye contact, looked at me exactly the same as he had been looking at this whole time. And I'm sure he's met lots of people with different disabilities, and so he knows how to do it. He's been trained, I'm sure. And it was just so... Maybe he just thought I was nervous to meet him. And it was just so comforting, like, to have him not even a sign of sympathy in his eye, which I preferred that. It was nice. And know that people with stutters think about it all the time. My friend who watched the documentary with me told me afterwards, I had no idea. Like, I thought you just thought about it when you stuttered, and you actually think about it all the time, assuming you're like this guy, like, it's the filter you see the world through. And I was like, yeah, no, it's true. I see the world through this different filter. You know, I'm scared, I freak out when you introduce me to your friends, or worst, when you talk to your friend and don't introduce me. I feel stuck. Because if I were to go out of my way and try to say hi, it's very uncomfortable and it's difficult. Whereas if you introduce me, I have an in. You know, if I stutter, it's not as weird. It's not just me like standing there, because I'll have a block and it's just very uncomfortable. So just don't be afraid to introduce us to people. I mean, if someone doesn't want to, hopefully they'll tell you. Just kind of read them, like read your friend if you know them. So don't make weird comments. Like, don't say it's cute. Like, I know you might think that, and people do, but it's not what people with stutters want to hear. Ask questions. Always ask people if you can, like if they're comfortable with it, which they usually are, and you know someone a little bit, don't be afraid. I've had friends for years and they're terrified to ask me about it, and I'd rather they just ask me about it and we can talk about it and it's fun, and I get so, like, I know so much about it and they don't know anything, and I just get to talk a whole bunch, which I have to do anyway. And it makes me less nervous because we're talking about it. There's no like, oh crap, what if they, like, what are they thinking? Like, they'll tell me what they're thinking, or they want to know what I'm thinking. So I think that's all I'm gonna say. It's a really long video. I feel like I should cut it back, but I think it's really important that people go out and do things. People with stutters, don't get too scared to leave the house. Don't get too scared to answer the phone, because phones are really scary. Don't let it stop you. You know, I wish I could go back to high school and take drama and speech and debate and do those things that I thought were too scary to do. But I'm only 22, so I still have a lot I can do, and I'm probably gonna skimp out on things a couple more times, but I'm learning my lesson, and I'm not gonna let it ruin my life. And I'm learning to really accept it about myself, and people don't think less of me. Like I said earlier, I just want to reinforce that. And that's something people always told me, but it was something I really had to realize for myself. And I think that comes through meeting people and talking about it, and letting it become a part of you. So that's it. I don't know how to end this.